Yes. There we go. Hey, I'm Ashley Claire, and that's Osmos, who's now 7 weeks old and literally gigantic. And welcome back to The Science to Change Your Life. I had mast cell activation, which is extremely rare and still currently has no cure, but I fixed it, and I've helped people fix their allergies and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm using this little series to teach you the science of how it can be done, how you can do it yourself, how it's even possible, and how I did it. So welcome to episode 2, all about epigenetics. So it used to be believed that your DNA was just copied randomly from your DNA by the RNA to make proteins in your body. So what that means is basically before 1991, everyone just kind of thought that if your grandma and their grandma and your mom all had like a heart attack at a specific age, that you just will too, and there's no way around it. Or if your parents got cancer, you're probably gonna get cancer. Or if your parents have an autoimmune disease, you'll have an autoimmune disease. And that you're just stuck with whatever DNA you got permanently. However, in 1991, we learned that that is not the case, and epigenetics was born. Epi means above, so epigenetics really means above genetics.
Means above genetics.
Which really just says that we can control our genes. Sometimes we do it subconsciously and we control them in a way we wouldn't necessarily want them to go, but overall we control our genes. Here's how that's possible. It starts with the signals that we send to our cells. So cells get signals based on our environment, but more importantly, the perception of our environment. So if you work in a coal mine and you're happy all the time, you're gonna be sending your cells signals like the environment is happy and wonderful and safe. But if you work in that same coal mine, he's so nippy with 7 weeks, oh my God. If you work at that same coal mine next to that same person, and you're like, oh God, I work at a coal mine, this is terrible for my health, I gotta get him a stick. Then you're sending cells to your signals saying this isn't safe, this is bad, I'm unhealthy, like make me unhealthy, in a nutshell. So here's the thing, those signals that you send to those cells affect the regulatory proteins that then go to your DNA and select which part of your DNA to copy. Your DNA basically has a cover on it. And those environmental signals for where you are in your environment, what's going on, if you're safe, if you're not safe, if you're healthy, if you feel like you're not healthy, those signals end up deciding what parts of the DNA get copied. So ultimately, what decides what part of your DNA gets copied and what combination that DNA is gonna be is your environmental signals from what you're experiencing in your reality, where your perception does matter more than your actual environment. DNA is basically like a recipe for something you want to cook. And you could take all of those ingredients and put them in different combinations and put in different amounts and create different foods with one recipe's ingredients. So from just one single gene in your DNA, you can have over 3,000 variations just out of that one gene in your DNA. So you have so many genes, like so many genes. And then out of every gene, you have at least 3,000 possibilities. And what chooses those possibilities for what copies your body's gonna make of that DNA to make the proteins is completely dependent on your perception of your external environment. Only 3% of your DNA actually doesn't change. So like your eye color, your hair color, which that can change, and eye color has changed in some studies too, but the meat of like what does not change, 3%. 3% of your DNA, your genes, okay? The other 97% is just like, it can change, and you can change it. When you figure out how to change it, you can actually change it. You actually have the power just by your perception. We're gonna dive deeper into this in future episodes, and I'm actually gonna explain more of how. Oh my God, a pretty red bug? It's a red spider. It's a red spider. What? Maybe I should be wearing shoes. I don't know if that was a tick or a spider or what, but I'm really glad it wasn't on me. But we're gonna talk more in future episodes about exactly how we can do this and how to control it. But you can actually have a healthy gene and turn it dysfunctional. People do that all the time. That's how you can not have an autoimmune disease when you're younger and then you just form one. You literally changed a gene from healthy to dysfunctional. But the good news is that you can do that right back the other way. If you know how, you can make dysfunctional genes turn into healthy genes. You can even turn mutant genes into healthy genes. So join us next time as we dive deeper. But just recapping, this episode was about epigenetics and how that's the science that shows and proves and explains how we can change our genes and that we are totally not stuck with the genetic destiny that our parents or grandparents or whoever has, because it's actually based off the environment, the genes. Only 3% of them can't be changed. The other 97% is up to you.